Hey, here we are. Oh, what a night it's been. Dashing around. Not in my usual location. We're getting the interior of the house painted and everything is masked off, man. So I'm kind of stranded here in the one of the kids' bedrooms, about the only place I'm even going to be able to sleep tonight. Everything else is masked up. So yeah, it was quite a welcome home coming home tonight. I really wasn't expecting this, but here we are. That's the bed head behind me. There's some masking tape up here. Yeah, if you could see it from the other direction, the place is a freaking bomb site. But hey, what are you going to do? So who we got? The dude. Hey, how are you, man? Kramer, C. Kramer. Looks like my formerly my dad's 66 F100. Okay, yeah, that used to belong to a buddy of mine quite a few years back now. I don't know where that truck's gone. I was simply looking for something to kind of put on the thumbnail. So there you go. 6th Street Garage. How are you, mate? Good to have you in. Joss H, welcome along. Unfinished project. Yeah, the dude. I'd watch your stream from anywhere. Yeah, well, thank you. I wish I was coming from somewhere different, but that's okay. So if the camera's a bit shaky, that's because it's actually sitting on my lap. So yeah, this is probably one of the least professional live streams you're going to get, but hey, hopefully the company's okay. So. What else do we got? J. Russell Finch, stream from your rack. Yeah. Driveway of Misfit. That's Chris Freemasser, isn't it? If I remember rightly from last week. How you doing, man? Yeah, it's been a week. It's been a week. Been busy. Trying to wrap up a couple of cars. Really haven't put a video out in a week and a half. I'm trying to dream, get something that I can do a video on, and really it's just very routine kind of stuff happening in the workshop right now. So yeah, not a lot happening, unfortunately, which is not good for my algorithm, as they say. But it's YouTubers, it is important, and you guys are important, but sometimes you just got to get some stuff done, and the ordinary dull stuff that goes on in the workshop. So hopefully tomorrow's looking a little clearer, and I'm going to try and make a video tomorrow. I'm not quite sure exactly on what, but I'll figure something out. Might try and do a little bit of work on Marge or something maybe tomorrow if I'm lucky. So yeah, and we'll go from there. Yeah. J. Russell Finch, hopefully you had a restful holiday and you can attack that speedo cable. Yes, indeed. Wouldn't that be good to get that quiet? Yeah, I might actually, if I ever get the chance, I'll replace that speedo cable and I'll mail you the old one. How about that? That sound like a deal? So you can hang it on your garage wall or something. All right, so what's going on tonight? We've got 21 people in right now. Where's all the comments, guys? So what's been happening? I've seen a little bit of speculation on the internet about was it last weekend's big car auction? A lot of cars didn't sell. A lot of cars were passed in short of the reserve. So there's a few people kind of speculating that we might have kind of hit the ceiling on classic car prices, or at least hit a plateau where the prices might normalize a little. But yeah, when you're seeing Camaros getting passed in and nothing, I mean, nice Camaro, yep, and like a 67 or 8, didn't meet reserve at 80,000. That's quite a bit of coin for a Camaro. Like it wasn't a big resto mod, with LS and tricks and speed. It was just a pretty regular, nice Corvette. But yeah, 80 grand. Yeah. Mr. Misfits, winter. It's winter. Nothing happening here car wise. No, it's a little bit like, well, it's kind of having to happen here at my place. But yeah, I'm kind of bored with the snow now. There's a reasonable amount still hanging around, just won't thaw out. And we're due for snow again next week. I think like Wednesday, Thursday next week. So yeehaw. The dude, what's your favourite meal? I would have to say roast lamb. Mrs. Kiwi makes a superb roast lamb dinner with all the roast vegetables and roast potatoes and sweet potatoes and carrots and all that, and that's my favourite meal, roast lamb. I know a lot of Americans aren't big fans of lamb, but before you write it off completely, if you ever get the chance, try some New Zealand lamb. It is quite different to American lamb, different flavour. I mean, they're both, sheep, or young sheep. The American lamb, they harvest them or slaughter them when they're quite a bit older than they do in New Zealand. Like New Zealand, to be a lamb in New Zealand, it can't be more than 12 months old. To be a lamb in America, it can't be more than 2 years old. So the difference in the meat from a 1-year-old to a 2-year-old lamb is significant. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, try some New Zealand lamb. Second only to New Zealand lamb is Icelandic lamb, because they're also all grass fed. Everything in New Zealand's grass fed. They don't grain feed really anything. Oh yeah, there you go. You're all caught up on lamb. Chuck it all. Cybertruck is 100 grand, and it looks like a government stainless steel garbage bin. Yeah, you're right. It is. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with those Cybertrucks. I think the novelty is kind of wearing off already. 15 minutes from me, heading into Nashville, there's a big mall with huge car parks, and there is literally, I don't want to say hundreds, but a solid 100 or so Cybertrucks parked in there that are just not selling. So it's gone from being in a wait list to get one to what color would you like? We can deliver it today. The dude, did you ever try goat? No, I have not tried goat. I believe it's pretty good though. Not something you see very often, like in the grocery stores, like Kroger's don't. I've never seen goat at Kroger's, but if you go to a few, some restaurants will serve it. Depending, like Mediterranean, and there's a few. Obviously not your Applebee's, but yeah, there's a few kind of international, different restaurants around that will have a bit of goat. Rex Ferris, goat meat is great. Well, there you go. Brad Hudson, hello from Canada. Whose truck is in your thumbnail for tonight? It's a fairly old photo, that, and I was in a hurry because everything was on the last minute tonight, and that was just the first pic I came across. It used to belong to a buddy of mine. He's since sold it. It was one of the unibody ones, which you probably knows. But yeah, it was a solid old truck. He bought it, had it for a few months, and just flicked it off again. Probably regrets it now, but hey. The dude, Whistling Diesel, did a torture test on the Cybertruck. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that. It'd be nice to kind of have that budget for making videos to go and buy 100 and what were they, 150,000 those Cybertrucks, something like that, and then just trash it. What else have we got? Rex Ferris, what's happened to Mopar is an utter tragedy. Yeah, it's kind of been, from what I've seen, and I haven't really studied it, but what I've seen and heard, it's kind of been a tragedy of errors, really. They just can't get it right. Mr. Misfits, new CEO of Ram, is hinting that the Hemi might come back to their trucks. Really? I hadn't heard that. But yeah, I hadn't heard that. But yeah, I think it's very believable. I know Audi was, I think it was, this year. 24. Audi was meant to be the last production of Audi's V8. That was their plan when they were, all gaga over electric cars, and they've backtracked on that, and the V8 is still available 2025. Josh Oskowski, how you doing, man? I'm doing pretty good. It's been, it's been an interesting evening with my house getting painted on there because he's spray painting the whole inside of it, and there's everything. Everything is masked over, masked shut. I had to cut my way into the alcohol cabinet. How sad is that? I mean, that's like, that was the first thing that got cut open when I got home. Brian Hudson, thanks, Kiwi. What did we think? What are you thanking me for, bud? Where did I do that? Hello from Canada. Oh, okay, I got you. Yep. Oh, no worries. Smurfenstein, I haven't seen you in here for a while, bud, unless I wasn't paying attention. The one time I miss coffee in cars, you're there. The new Charger is one of those light and sound vehicles. Yeah, which cars and coffee did I miss you at? The one in Ellerslie there, Epsom, and the new Charger is one of those light and sound vehicles. What do you mean by that, buddy? A light and sound vehicle? You meaning I know they've made a new electric Charger. Is that what you're referring to? The dude, we need Leo Iacocca to save the day again. I mean, that's I think some of these companies need to take a few steps backwards and kind of go back to their roots a little bit. And yeah, Leo Iacocca probably, he couldn't do it any worse, could he? That's to be fair. John Oskowski, that explains the wall art. Yeah, or the complete lack of. I'm not sure why these two little brackets got left up here on the wall, but who knows? I just got home and all the painters had gone. There's like 5 guys in here painting, and it was kind of a shitstorm, I got to tell you. I had to cut my way into the fridge to get some dinner because Mrs. Kiwi's out of town. She's traveling, so it was just me. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least. Paul Funk, the Mopar dealer here in town, has half of the inventory they had a year ago. Yeah, well, apparently they still have unsold 2023 vehicles that they're giving 50% off. 50%. So someone's taken, someone being Mopar, is taking a huge hit on that. There's not that kind of margin in new cars. They can't sell them at 50% and 50% off and even break even. That kind of money's not there. And what is that going to do to the residual value of all the other 23 and 24 trucks, for instance, the Ram trucks that are around when new old stock is getting sold for 50% off, and you might have one with 30,000 miles on it. What's that worth? Like 20% of the old retail? It's like, oh, that's going to hurt. What's in the glass? A bit of apple bourbon. It's kind of, I've become a little bit addicted to the apple bourbon as a sipping bourbon. It's quite nice, very easy to drink. So cheers. Chris Freemeser, lock up the paint thinner. Kev likes to huff that stuff. Yeah, Kev's here with us. Hey guys. I couldn't get him to stay up on the back there, so but he's making a guest appearance. It's all water-based stuff, mate. Yeah, so he can huff steam all he likes. It's the thinners at the shop that's the good stuff. Josh Homan, good to be here. Good, glad to have you here, mate. Smurfenstein, the Auckland Maguires one, yeah. Yes, the kids had the light and sound vehicles years ago. They had buttons on the side that made engine noises and flashing lights. Didn't move much. All show, no go. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that they've made an EV charger. Yeah. Chuck it all, Kiwi. What's your favourite car to drive? Ooh. It's a tough one. Yeah. That's a split decision, and obviously I'm one-eyed. It's about my own cars, but my Mustang, the KSV 9000, that is just as much fun, as you can have. Well, not even legally, but illegally. With that kind of horsepower and two-wheel drive, and yeah, you can just play and play and play as long as your tires last. So that's an awesome car to drive, but it's not a relaxing car to drive. It's on. As I've said to a couple of people, they said to me, "How does it go?" And it's like, well, it's either flat out or stop. It's kind of the two speeds for that Mustang. So yeah, and then the other side of that coin is my Audi RS7. That is, in my opinion, just a superb car. It does everything exceptionally well. It's got plenty of power. It's got lots of traction. It's got lots of handling. It's got lots of stopping. It's quiet as can be when you turn the exhaust down, the exhaust sound level down. So it can be a real cruiser, or it can be, you can open up that exhaust and put her into sport mode, and she kind of snarls a little bit. So that's a great car too. That would be my two favourite cars, the two that I own. So, Marge is going to be right there, as just a slow old cruiser. But she needs a little more love yet before she's like serious, like really genuinely fun to drive. Right, what do we got here? What's in the glass? Look at the paint. Chuck it all this electronics crap. I just want to go to the freaking store and back, not land on the moon. Well, yeah, I think a lot of these older, simpler cars are going to have a resurgence in value just because they're simple and cheap to run. Yeah. The dude, you should have done it yourself, Kiwi. I'm sure you can paint better than them. Yeah, I think you may well be right, but there's just not hours in the day, man. There's just not hours in the day. So we kind of had to wave the white flag and get someone to come in. It's like, would I rather spend, a couple of weeks painting in the house or a couple of weeks at work working on old cars? And, so I went with the working on old cars and, hired someone to paint inside the house. So, because there's just not time to do it all. There's just not. Smooth. Yep. Okay. What's your favourite car? Long Island Mopars. Large Marge sounded great idling in the snow. Yeah, I was impressed how she started up. It. I didn't have the camera. That was my bad. I should have had the camera going as I was trying to start it. I did have to put a little bit of engine start down it because I think the carburetor over like a period of a month, the carburetor had kind of emptied itself and it was cold, clearly, and there's no choke on it. The choke doesn't, long since stopped working. So she was a little reluctant to start, but as soon as it got a little bit of juice down her, just one hit with a bit of engine start, and away she went. And you heard it idling. She was that was, like I fired it, gave it, just brought the revs up a little bit, let it idle, got the camera out and shot that little video. So that was as cold could be, and it was a little clacky, but then all the tappets need adjusting. So yeah, but yeah, she sounded pretty good. Driveway of Misfits. At least they had the foresight to make the new Charger either an EV or an ICE. Oh, I actually didn't realise that. So you can get it either. You can have it as an EV or an internal combustion engine. I didn't realise that. Okay, well that's going to be interesting to see what sells better, isn't it? That will be interesting. Rex Farris, do you have any advice about painting a single panel? The brakes on my 50 Plymouth failed, and among other things, I need to repaint one of the front panels. Yeah, it's hopefully the piece you've damaged is like a bolt on, bolt off part, or at least got it's not an all like a molded in one piece front type thing. So it depends what piece one of the front panels. So it's probably something like the front lower, one of those front panels. You should just be able to take it off. And honestly, it's probably easier to remove it and paint it, fix a dent and paint it, put it back on. And at least that way, and it's down low, it'll be in a front panel. So your match is not going to have to be super perfect. It should be a fairly easy repair as long as you're not expecting like absolute perfection. Because to get absolute perfection, you're going to have to blend it out into another panel probably. But it just depends what piece of the car you damaged exactly. But yeah, my thoughts would be take the panel off, repair the damage and just paint the panel off the car. Yeah. Josh H, is the KSV faster than your Krautmobile? Horsepower says it is, because it just has more horsepower, and it's lighter. The issue is traction. The KSV will spin the wheels right through third gear. Whereas the Audi, and unfortunately the Audi, unfortunately, depends how you look at it. The Audi will be just gone, and putting it's what is it, 100? It's about 150 less horsepower, but it's using every single one of them. So yeah, realistically, I'd have to say the Krautmobile is faster. I think once the KSV gets a bit of traction and starts to pull, it'll start catching, and at some point it'll probably catch and pass the Audi, but I'm not sure when that would be. Smurfenstein, I may consider an electric charger. The noises means everyone who sees someone will automatically regard them as a tosser. Yeah. Some will. Yeah, some will. John, do you see a time when cars become too saturated with technology, which make them too expensive to buy and repair? We're kind of pretty much there now anyway. Trump has put in some new thing. Someone was telling me about it today, as I haven't read it myself. But they're banning a lot of this technology coming in cars from China. And then they're saying that the cars have now become a security risk with the way they listen. They track you with all the the GPS tracking and all that sort of stuff. So they're things are afoot to limit the amount of technology in cars, and I think it's not a bad thing. The amount we're being listened to, and I don't like to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but it's becoming, every week something happens and it's like, man, they really are listening. Great example was over Christmas, back in New Zealand with the family. We decided to play a game. My in-laws had a dartboard, and it's like, okay, let's play a game of darts. Now I haven't played darts in 15, 20 years. Not a game that I kind of longed. It was there. We just thought, oh yeah, we'll throw the darts at the board or whatever. And so we had a game of darts. I went back to my phone, went on to YouTube just to check it, see how the videos and stuff were going. And in my suggested kind of feed on the homepage was a couple of videos about darts, about playing the game of darts. And it's like, you know, I didn't email anybody. I didn't make a phone call. I didn't do anything. But the phone was probably in my back pocket if I think about it. And next thing you know, YouTube's suggesting darts videos, and that's just like you can't kind of refute that. Really, that's not something. Never in the time I've even known of YouTube have I ever watched a video on darts. The dartboard game. So yeah, that was pretty freaky, I have to tell you. And the technology, yeah, too saturated with technology and make them too expensive to buy and repair. The cost of buying them is not too bad. You get a huge amount of technology in so many cars now. The electronics are actually relatively cheap at a manufacturing level. Repairing them, however, is a different story. You go and buy an ECM or a BCM, for these cars, like my Audi. I hate to imagine what a computer is in one of those, and would be scary. But yeah, it's a lot of the cars you see in the picker parts and being given up on and just sent to the scrapper. It's usually electronics. It's not usually the engine. In the old days, the engine would go or a transmission would drop out of it, and you'd go, oh, we're done. That car's done. Take it to the scrapper. Now the engines last so much longer, transmissions last so much longer, but electronics do not. And from what I've seen, the majority of cars going to the scrapper, obviously this doesn't apply to accident damage vehicles. You can't, that has nothing to do, not nothing, but it's not the same issue. But cars that are just no longer financially viable to keep running, 9 times out of 10, it's due to electronics. So yeah, I think we're kind of there already. Apologies for my grammar. No worries, mate. This thing's shot. Oh, here we go. John, yeah. Hey, Craig Nearing. Hey, it's Tuesday Night Live. Yeah, welcome along, buddy. Driveway of Misfits. Yeah, it happened. You're right, Chris. It did really start to happen about 10 years ago with electronics. Chuck it all. I suppose it's the mood. Fast and furious or a relaxing drive with the wife. There you go. Yeah, it is. And it's kind of horses for courses. You can't get everything that's cool about the two cars into one car. You just can't. Yeah. The dude, would you recommend base clear or single stage urethane on a metallic color on an old daily driver car? Single stage metallics are a bit of a bear to paint. They're not very forgiving, and you cannot color sand them and polish them. Like if you get a bit of trash and that sort of thing in with a single stage, if it's a solid color, you can actually cut and buff them. But with the metallics are very close to the surface, and as soon as you start like color sanding on them, you get into the metallics, and then you'll end up with a blotchy mess. So with a metallic, I would always say base coat, clear coat over a single stage. Yeah. Oh, hang on. If I read the next post, I meant non-metallic on a metallic car. Okay, so on a non-metallic car, I mean the reverse of what I just said. Go with a single stage. Just get it on, get it done. Just out of the gun and done. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. Chuck it all. I prefer a single because I can buff it out without fear of cutting through the clear layer. There's some truth to that. In my experience, with the exception of metallics, you can't buff on a metallic single stage very much at all before you hit the metallics. And if you've got a decent amount of clear on, you got to cut a fairly long way before you go through the clear. But yeah, metallics are the issue with single stage. Josh Homan, we have gone way overboard on technology. Yeah. Yeah, but it's what the masses want, Well, is it? Well, people. I mean, my daughter's got a little Fiesta, and it doesn't have a backup camera, and a lot of her friends cannot comprehend how she backs it up without a backup camera. They're all driving, hers is like a 2015, which is now 10 years old, and it didn't come with a backup camera. Yeah, and her friends are horrified. It's like, how on earth can you possibly back up without a backup camera? And it's like, yeah, you turn your head, you look over your shoulder, and you look back. But yeah, a lot of the up and coming generations are, they're not going to do that. They want a camera, and they want buzzers to tell them when they're about to hit something. Yeah, so a lot of the buying public want all that technology. But times change too. I do think there's going to be a real market for some of these simpler old cars. Driveway of misfits. You don't sound like a conspiracy theorist. Thank you, sir. I work in IT, and the privacy issues with computer phone is absolutely insane. Yeah, I've got to look into that a little bit more. What Trump's been up to today? Apparently, it happened today. He made this announcement about banning all this Chinese tech that's coming in on cars, and the Russian as well, apparently. But yeah, I'm not too sure what that's about. Again, that's secondhand information, so don't shoot me if I'm not quite right there. Fred Nurk, g'day Kiwi. How are you, Fred? Good to have you along. Barracuda, they better be thick-skinned if they're listening to me. Welcome into the room, Barracuda. How you doing, man? Yeah, well, yeah, a little bit of colourful language. Never hurt anybody, really, did it? Chuck it all. Me and my wife simply discussed umbrellas and then got advertising for umbrellas. It's not China, it's the system. The corporations are all in on it. Yeah, yep. I mean, it's just. I used to think it was, I used to pass it off as kind of BS that they're listening to us, and it's just too many things like you just talking about have happened, and it's like, yeah, you can't keep denying it because it's really happening. Chris, ultimately, it's the lack of effective data privacy laws that allow companies to abuse the hell out of everybody privacy-wise. Yeah, well, I know damn well they're watching driving habits. I mean, that's been acknowledged that there's companies out there selling information on your driving habits. And I'm pretty sure that my insurance has gone up a lot. And yeah, it's probably justified, because I do like to play in the Audi a little, but they shouldn't know about it. They shouldn't know about it. And Audi say, no, it's not us. But I mean, how do you know? All you can do is take their word for it. But apparently, even places like these gas buddy apps and stuff like that, and your Google Maps and stuff like that, all that information that shows where you've been, when you've been, when you've set a route to here or set a route to there, or where you filled up, and that helps them keep track of mileage and when you're doing most of your driving and all that kind of thing. And that all goes to your risk level, how risky they deem you to be. And then obviously the computer in the car knows exactly how much throttle you've got on, how much brake pressure you've got on. Like the Audi's got a G meter in it, so it knows how fast I'm going around a corner, and all that information can be sold to insurance, or typically it's third parties, I believe, and then it's on sold to insurance companies. So yeah, it's going on. Yeah, my insurance company, I said to them, like, well, why has it gone up so much? And they're like, oh, well, it's just cost of repairs and, inflation. And I said, you're not tracking my driving, eh? Oh, no. What can you do? Very hard to prove them wrong, prove they're lying. Driveway of Mr. Chris. Too much technology has fried my brain. Yeah, well, that might be a good excuse. I mean, it's nothing to do with this for me at all, I'm sure. Chuck it all. I backed my 62 Sunbeam by looking behind me. Exactly. I mean, I've got, three of our cars have got backup cameras, and I do look at the backup camera, but I look over my shoulder as well because I'm always, part of me is like, oh, do I trust the camera? Has it got a blind spot somewhere? With a bloody Lamborghini parked in it, that I'm going to back into, because that'd be my luck. Blue Hill Cemetery, Kiwi. Sorry, I'm late. No problem, man. What's behind you on the wall? Duct tape a banana to the wall and rake pits on it. Tape pits on. Yeah, that's little shelving brackets. There was a shelf up there which my wife had some decorative, frilly, smelly thing on there. Don't ask me what it was, but yeah, the painters have taken the shelf away but left the brackets up there. So I don't know. There you go. Mr. Freemasson, not the first time I've heard of young kids being stunned that you can back up a car without a camera. Exactly. I mean, and there's more and more of those. Like us old guys are dying out, and more of those young ones that are stunned by no camera are replacing us. So, evolution is a happening thing, and we're the dinosaurs, and they're not. What do we got? Do you use single stage much at the shop? No. Short answer, no. The paint jobs we typically do, need to be color sanded. So we'll put on, 4 good coats of clear, and like sand one off, 1.5 maybe, and then buff the hell out of it, and you get that glass mirror type finish, and that's typically what my customers seem to want. So yeah, the single stage, it's more of it is a budget paint. It is a budget paint, and I wouldn't be adverse to putting it on March, depending what color I paint it. Yeah. So, and I've also heard of people using single stage. I've never done it, but I've heard of people using a single stage as a base and then putting more clear coat over the top of the single stage. I'm not sure what the advantage of that is meant to be, but yeah, I've heard of it happening. Barracuda, I thought Dr. Art would have been better to have painted his Falcon with single stage white. Yeah, that's probably what I would have used, but I mean, I think he used rattle can. I didn't watch those videos, I'll be honest with you, because I've just been busy doing other stuff. I do try and watch his videos; they're usually pretty good. But yeah, I did talk to him briefly, and he rattle canned that Falcon, and it looks pretty good for a rattle can. So yeah, Phil Buckley, g'day from Perth, West Australia. How you doing, man? My brother-in-law lives in Perth. Craig Nearing, I want to convert my old 1989 Audi 80 to a carburetor. The alcohol fuels ruin the fuel injection. 89 Audi 80. That's a fairly old Audi. Mate, I don't know. I don't know how doable that is. I imagine you've got, I really don't know anything about an 89 Audi, but I imagine you've got, an ECM that controls all your ignition timing, that kind of thing, which you're going to need. You're going to need some way to fire the plugs, and whether you can. Yeah, I don't know whether you can do that or not. I really don't know. I don't even know. I can't even imagine where to send you to try and figure that out, other than search around the internet, search around YouTube, and see if anyone's done it. Yeah, I mean, I know they run LSs on carburetors, and then have a different ignition system. But again, I haven't even gone into that. Had very little to do with LSs, in all honesty. Driven a few, but haven't really got into transplanting, which may be changing if I may do an LS swap on that little GMC Canyon that I bought, because you can buy all the bits and pieces to do that. But yeah, then it's whether you do, whether you go to carburetor on an LS. I think if I was going to go LS, I'd just go with injection as well. Mr. Misfits, so yeah, you have apps on your phone that has access to your location data. They can tell where you've been and how fast you got there. Yep, and I'm pretty sure that's why my insurance has gone up, which kind of sucks. Like, they're charging me a lot of insurance, and I really don't do many miles in it. But it's one thing they can't do on the Mustang, the KSV. They have no idea where I am, other than my phone moving, but they're certainly not getting any information from the car, which is, that's a good thing. Chuck it all. When the EMP pulse goes off and all your cars are disabled, I'll drive by in the 62 and wave. There you go. Yeah, won't that be a popular car then? Yeah. Yes, indeed. Chuck it all. If you see a 68 light blue Beetle drive by you, feel free to wave at me. There you go. Yeah, it's going to be hard to stop a Beetle, isn't it? Hard to stop a Beetle. Which is why they were so popular when they were built, or back when they started building them. Brad Hudson, mirrors are for backing up. My work trucks don't have back windows. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah. I often use my side mirrors for backing up and don't, I have a check over my shoulder, but typically I'll use the side mirrors. There's a lot, you can see a lot, if you know what you're doing through the side mirrors. Whole car, discover and explore. I hope you have another set of points for it. Maybe condenser when the EMP pulse or blast happens. Yeah, would that affect it? Would it, an EMP pulse? I mean, this is getting pretty a little on the far-fetched side, but hey, you never know. I guess it could well. I could see it frying a condenser, but I'm not sure about points. But what the hell would I know? I don't know about an EMP blast or pulse. Chuck it all. I always carry spare cat rotor and points. Got caught in a desert sandstorm once and had to change them. Ouch. Ooh, that can't have been too pleasant. Smurfenstein, do you YouTubers ever hang out? I know Sleeper Dude is in Riceville, Tennessee. Have you met any of the others? I've met old Derek, Vice Grip Garage, and I have met, obviously, good friends with KT, Kevin Tetz from Paint Education, and I have definitely hung out in the past. It is now, unfortunately, with old UTG, Uncle Tony's Garage. There's quite a few around Tennessee for some reason. I'm not really sure why. It is nice here, so yeah, why not? Cost of living's pretty fair, and yeah. Jeff Senior, I love the expression on people's faces when they realise my 67 F100 is all manual. Yeah. Yes. And funny, hopefully she's not watching, but or Mrs. Kiwi, she many, many years ago, and this is how, this is it's not a new thing, this, technology. Her boss at the time told her to take his car and go and make a delivery. So she went to the car and it was hot, and she thought she'd put the windows down, but her and the girl that had been sent on this errand couldn't figure out how to wind the windows down, and couldn't find a button for it anywhere, and went back into the office and said to the boss, how do you wind the windows down? Well, he wasn't very impressed and said, get out of here before I fire you to wind up windows. So but yeah, they completely went over their heads, the crank handle on the window winder. So yeah, it's not only the very young ones that make some some bloopers like that. Hang on, just going to get my right place here. Hang on. Derek Deberjag, yeah, everyone, don't forget to hit the like button. Well, yes, that's very true, and I forget to remind you guys as well. So thank you, Derek. Hitting that like button does helps me a lot. So I appreciate it if you can do that. Just the more likes, the more YouTube like it, the more they promote your videos or live streams, and yeah, it just gets the videos out there and gets people seeing them. So yeah, the whole like and subscribe and hit notifications, that really does make a difference. So yeah, have at it. Lots of likes. That'd be awesome. Old car discover. Glad to see you're prepared. Speaking of connector and points, there are some people that have concerns about the starter and the starter solenoid as well, but I do not think that would be affected. Yeah, pass. Don't know. I'm with you. I don't think it would. They're fairly simple electronic circuitry, and I don't think it would fry them. Especially as there's no power going through them, at the time of, unless you're actually trying to start the engine when that thing went off. But yeah, chances are pretty slim of that. Smurfenstein, I brought a van a while ago and was going to get a $400 stereo with a camera. Okay. Decided it was a waste of money. A month later, I backed into a concrete post. New bumper, as you guessed it, $400. Well, wouldn't that just rip your 90? Yeah, that sucks. Oh, damn. Yeah, the cameras, they've saved a lot of damage over the years, over the few years I've been around, I'm sure. Chuck it all. My 62 has the crank handle to manual start. I tried it, almost broke my arm. They can be vicious. That Sunbeam I've got's got the crank handle as well, because that's a 61. So yeah, it's got the little wee cutout in the front balance. That little, what shape would you call that? It's kind of a circle with two little pieces off the side. Yeah, you don't see many cars with those anymore. Whole car discoveries. Yeah, I've met some other YouTubers, multi-care guys, and I used to talk with some of the other ones a little more than I do now. Mr. Good Players is Buddy Joe out. Okay. Okay. Chris Freemasser, what engine is that Audi? I wonder if maybe there are any South American VW Audi cars with that engine that might still have been carbureted. Yeah, that's a possibility around that era. Yeah, that's good thinking, actually. That's a definite possibility if you could locate one. Because that was 89. That would have been probably in some countries and markets that would have been an option, and it's still cheaper would have been back then, still cheaper to produce a carbureted engine than an electronic one. So yeah, that's good thinking. Beagle Bob, I'm always late to these. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Beagle Bob. So why are you always late, mate? Are you busy working, or you forget, or do we need to get your wife to put a reminder on your phone to bing you 10 minutes out? What's going on? Smurfenstein, amazing how many years ago muscle car guys didn't like turbo or injection. Now they're embracing it. Yeah, yep. It's funny, turbos. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I was there and did that. Yeah, the injection. Yeah, the aftermarket injection they're still really struggling with, unless you pay serious money. And one thing you don't want on a turbo, if you're going turbo and injection, turbo you need a very good with the turbo. If you're running any amount of boost, you need a very good engine management system. And your $1,000 Holly snipers do not fall into that category. Mopar man, howdy, how you doing, buddy? Oh, Dr. Art's in the house. We were just talking about you, buddy. Talking about your paint job on your Falcon. Chris Freemus, the only thing that can stop a beetle in its tracks is a modest headwind. Yeah, they're not sort of blessed with gobs of power, are they? The dude, you ever see what the plow truck driver drives to get to the plow truck? That's a good question, isn't it? That's a good question. Smurfenstein, maybe more permissive car rules in Tennessee. No, I don't think that's it. But to be honest, while there's so many states have really no car rules, and the ones that do are very basic. Possibly with the exception of California. But even in California, if it's an older car, you don't have to do all the emissions and all that drama. But they are a little, California is one of the tougher places. But yeah, I think Tennessee is just, it's just a growing place, particularly around Nashville is booming. We don't have any state tax, income taxes, which is nice. We don't have any property tax, like some states, like up in Virginia, if you pay property tax every year on your car, which is bullshit in my opinion, but I don't know how people put up with that. Tennessee doesn't have any of that. Yeah. So I think people are just coming here. They get a good bang for their buck with houses, that kind of thing. Max level. The trick is to have your old car parked in front of your other car when the EMP pulses. Well, yes, if you can plan it that well, then yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, I've shot down the page again. The dude, Mrs. Kiwi, watches the lives. She usually checks them out a little bit. She'll watch some of it. But yeah, it doesn't really hold her for 2 hours. Direct Debajik, are you redecorating? Yeah, mate, we are. I am. Well, I am. We are. We're getting the house painted on the inside, and that's why this is hanging around my head. And I'm in what used to be my son's bedroom because every other room in the house is masked off. Because they're spray painting the interior of the house. It's just an absolute shit fight. Had to cut my way into the freezer to get some dinner, and yeah, it's. Yeah, you're not looking forward to coming home at the moment, but yeah, hopefully it's just going to be another week and we'll be done. So that'll be nice. Long Island Mopars, like button engaged. Good on you, bud. Thank you. Smurfenstein, just smash that button. Thank you. The dude, 37 likes with 45 viewers. I think that's the highest like to view ratio I've ever seen. Oh, good. Oh, cool. Awesome. Mopar man was watching an old episode of American Pickers and saw you in the video. Mike bought you an old GMC or Chevy pickup. and you cleaned it up and put a windshield in it. That was an International. But yeah, I remember one. Gosh, that's a few years ago now. I probably wasn't quite as grey and maybe a little thinner back then. But yeah, that was kind of fun working with those guys on that. Chuck it all. EMP Pulse makes smaller computer chips that are the things susceptible, and fry heavy coils and thick copper wire motors are not going to be affected as much, but possible. There you go. Everything you ever wanted to know about EMP pulses, just check out Tuesday Night Live. J. Russell Finch, you said you had jammed up the seat tracks for Marge. Have you started the electrolyte derusting? They have like roll pins inside that are probably stuck on the tracks. Yeah, I haven't started that yet. Yeah, just too busy, honestly. I'm getting very close though. I might get a bit of time tomorrow or Thursday to chuck it in a bucket and see what happens. But I'm hoping that'll free it up because yeah, those tracks are, they're stuck. Yeah, stuck. Don't care too. Hey, Kiwi, Marge likes the snow. Too funny. Yeah, I'm not convinced she does. I mean, she'd been sitting in the desert for 45 years. That must have been, yeah, that would have. And poor old thing had to sit outside through all of that. I wasn't able to get her inside, which was a shame. But yeah. Brad Hudson, I'm usually late to lives as well. I'm further west, so different time zone. Yeah, it is what it is, like the Kiwi and Aussie viewers there, it's like 11 o'clock in the morning over there. So a lot of those guys can't check in, but, they'll watch it later after the live. Beagle Bob, I never remember what day it is. Here you go. You get the wife to put a reminder in your phone, mate, so that it tells you on Tuesday morning. That'd be the way. Yeah. I struggle knowing what day it is sometimes too, mate, so I feel your pain. Smurfenstein, we had an old Comma Cobb. I remember those Comma vans. Yep, my dad was often crank starting it. He always showed us to keep our thumb next to the next finger and hook it rather than grab it. Had about 3-to-1 compression. I'm sure they came out of the factory with a little more than that, but yeah, by the time they wore out a bit, it might not be too far from the truth. Al Moran, bringing my 66 Fairlane back to life in Surprise, Arizona. Thanks for hanging out. Oh, hey, thank you for coming in. It's always, yeah. Tell us a bit more about your Fairlane. What's needed to bring it back to life? Cordell B, wouldn't an EMP fry the gas pumps? An electric pump, yeah, that's quite possible. But see, I'm a fan of mechanical pumps where you can run them. Obviously, it was a later model, you can't. Fuel injection, you can't really use a mechanical pump. But yeah. Yeah, if it could hurt a solenoid or a starter motor, I'm sure it would make short work of a fuel pump. This goddamn thing. The dude, Kiwi, I was referencing an old VW commercial. In the commercial, the plow truck driver drives a Beetle to get to the plow truck. Okay. All right, that makes sense. They would have been good with all that engine weight hanging over the back wheels. They probably did okay in the snow. Beagle Bob, what are your thoughts on adding supplemental airbag suspension to things? I'm looking at them for my Grand Marquis and trucks. Yeah, I think that's one of the best places for them, for airbags. To help, as a helper spring effectively. particularly in trucks. It just gives you that flexibility. You can up your loads. You can increase your load capabilities with a set of airbags. The Grand Marquis, not sure about that. Is it sitting a little low? Is it? I wouldn't have thought that would have been that vehicle wouldn't have come to mind for putting supplemental airbags in. To be honest with you, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but it just that I would have been thinking trucks, that kind of thing, more load carrying vehicles. Smurfancy sounds like the Greens policy to tax your car. Yeah, there's some truth to that, buddy. James Martin, glad you're back in the Northern Hemisphere where you had a good visit home and you acclimated to the cold. Thanks for Tuesday Live. Hey, thanks for dropping in, man. I appreciate it. It's good to have you all along, But yeah, it took a little while to get around the temperature change and the time change, and the jet lag. That kind of kicked my ass a bit on this trip. Wasn't too bad going over, but kind of suffered a bit coming back. Barracuda, there's been excess emissions in California in the last few days. Yeah, that's a pretty grim story. I really feel for those guys out there. That's an absolute shit fight. A lot of question marks over infrastructure and the ability for the firefighters to fight the fires and stuff like that. And it's a big fire, and they're saying billions of dollars of damage. I saw a picture popped up on one of my feeds somewhere, and it had a '67 Mustang coupe on, just a photo of it on fire in the garage with the rest of the garage on fire as well. You could just kind of recognize the back of it. It looked like it had only just started burning, but that car was, about to be gone. It was not going to be saved. It was on fire. And I saw another one where there was a bunch of Porsches and stuff like that, because around that area where the fire is, there's a lot of disposable income. There's some wealthy people around there, right around Malibu. That's big dollars there, and a lot of those. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's certainly enough of those people with that kind of money. Have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 nice old classic cars, and they're not all getting out. Chuck it all. I'm in Cal, but my house in Arkansas taxes everything that moves or sits. Not a lot, but still, I build a garage. Property taxes go up. Yeah, right. Yep. Yeah, some states are definitely greedier than others. Chuck it all. Oh, wow. I was 5 blocks away from an evacuation zone in California. Wow. That's a little too close for comfort, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. 5 blocks is not far. That could have changed very, very, very quickly. Craig Nearing, I find backup cameras are a distraction. Yeah, it's I do use them, but I can't bring myself to have total faith in them, but I do use them. Whole car discover. Chuck, I wish I knew how to highlight your handle. It has a lot to do with proximity and also how strong of the blast. Honestly, my training is quite data in this. Yeah, it's all way above my pay grade. I've heard of it. Craig Nearing, my Audi is a 1.9 litre. Yeah, I think that's I would investigate to see if they made that engine in a carbureted format, and that might be your ticket to ride. Right, what do we got? Smurfenstein, I think if a nuclear weapon-induced EMP happen, a working car is likely going to be the least of your problems. Yep, we're talking about the end of the world here. Nuclear weapon-induced. Right, hang on. Let's scroll down a bit here. Mr. Misfits, Craig Nearing, Wikipedia is actually surprisingly good reference to find out what markets, applications a particular engine was used in. There you go. There you go. Wikipedia. Okay. Yeah, I quite often use Wikipedia if I'm trying to doing a video on a car and I just want to find a few facts and figures on it. That Wikipedia can be pretty good for that. But yeah, that would tell you what models, were sold where and what motors. So that's a good idea. How did the EMP tour get started? I actually can't remember. Someone mentioned it. I can't remember who it was or what they said. I came in late, and I was hoping to hear maybe something about Chris's father's Mustang. Mate, what would you like to know? Yeah, I mean, a quick story on it. I bought it sight unseen through a friend of mine's family member had it, and it was up in Detroit. So kind of had a brainstorm. My old man was coming over for a visit. So I said, let's go up there and buy it and drive this thing back. And so we did. It was an awesome road trip. We came back from Detroit. Stopped at 3 or 4 car museums on the way, stopped at Indianapolis and had a look around there on the way back down. Spent about 3 days, I think, getting back. 3 days, 2 or 3 days. Yeah, it was just an old 6-cylinder one. It was way rustier than it had been promised it was. But, it is what it is. So it needed a lot of new sheet metal in it, like complete floors, inner rockers, fenders, doors. It was not in great shape when I got it, but it did drive all the way back from Detroit to Franklin. Sprung a little hole in the radiator, pulling into a town somewhere. I don't recall which one it was. We ducked into the O'Reillys, ordered a new radiator. They had it overnight, and we put a new radiator in the car in the hotel car park and carried on. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Kind of shades of the Large March trip, really. But yeah, and if you have any other questions, old car, just ask them, man. I'll be happy to tell you all about it. Beagle Bob, what are some suggestions for degreasers or engine cleaners? I'm thinking of using diesel ATF, high detergent motor oil to soak 200 kmol lifters in from a junk motor, just for science sake. I would use ATF and acetone. That's one of the best penetrants. That'll get in places that nothing else will and soften and free stuff up. So yeah, ATF and acetone. And acetone you can get at like Home Depot and stuff like that. So that's what I'd be trying. The ATF is a high detergent. So yeah, that with acetone, I use that quite often for freeing stuff up. It just soaks the ATF. It works wonders. Chuck it all. My 62 has a sight glass pump on the side of the engine. I rebuilt it and it works a treat. They're so simple, aren't they? So they are. When you can get the kits for them, they're very rebuildable. It's not hard. Dickie Farley, hey, welcome to the room, man. How you doing? Chuck it all. That was you, chuck it all. Made a joke about driving by and waving in my 62. Yeah, there you go. That's right. I do remember that now. Gosh, you answer so many questions. It's the brain starts to overflow. El Moran, finishing disc brake conversion, resealed 289 and 4-speed. Nice. Making her roadworthy. Looks will come later. Driving is most important. Yeah, well, you got to get out there and have some fun in it, don't you? Give yourself a chance to fall in love with it before you kind of grow to hate it, because all you ever do is work on it. So yeah, getting it running, and then yeah, find out if it's really the car of your dreams, and it probably is. And yeah, have some fun in it, especially as we're coming up. Like probably by the time you get it running, you'll be getting closer to summer. And then spend the summer driving it and decide what you want to do then. That's what I'd be doing. That's kind of what I'm going to do with Marge, I think. Get it a little bit more user friendly, driver friendly, and then drive it over summer and decide what to do with it. And what to do with it doesn't include selling it, but it's just what spec and how I want to do it. Helen Shildroff, you're going to the Ryman to see Ringo tomorrow. Oh, mate, I didn't even know he was playing. Wow, I had no idea. Huh. This will probably upset some people. I was never a Beatles fan, honestly. I really wasn't. Yeah. I mean, obviously one of the greatest bands ever, but yeah, just didn't really resonate with me, I'm afraid. Chuck it all. Several of my friends lost everything. That's awful, man. And I know a lot of people, well, I don't know, but from what I've heard on the news reports, a lot of people were uninsured because they couldn't afford or couldn't get insurance against fires. So yeah, some people have quite literally lost everything, including the house they lived in, and no way of rebuilding it. So yeah, it's pretty tragic, really. And it sounds like maybe not completely avoidable, but it could have been less, quite a bit less by the sound of it. Good grief. Old car discover and explore. My thing was I was a nuclear biological chemical warfare instructor in the army. The EMP was all part of it. Wow. You got some stories to tell, haven't you, bud? Well, that's quite a mouthful. What do you do for a living? I fix cars. Old car discovery is nuclear biological chemical warfare instructor. That's going to take me. I'd have to spend half an hour just memorizing that. Driveway of Miss Smurfenstein, $10 says the Beatles still runs. Yeah, I'd have some of that bet as well. Fleetwood, hey Kiwi and all, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to you, brother. Thanks for joining us. Just shot up again. Oh, happy Tuesday. Smurfenstein, which classic do you take in a fire? Which kit of the 7 do you prefer if you take the Cobra, not the minivan? Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's very possible that kind of decision had to be made. Apparently, the fires were moving pretty fast, and just in a matter of an hour, you could be like from not having a problem to, oh shit, what do I do now? Craig Nearing, love my 65 Volkswagen bus in the snow. Nothing comes close to the fun drifting that bread box and freezing one's butt off. Nothing like a bit of drifting in the snow, is there? It's always fun. Always fun. Thunderbird 68. Hi everyone. Kiwi, any thoughts on rubber nitrile steel braided fuel line? It's about the same price as PTFE line, although would not require AN fittings, etc. Okay. PTFE is better. The modern day fuel does tend to, or not tend to, it does soak through the rubber, the ethanol in it, and it does tend to smell a little bit. You get more gas fumes if you're running rubber lines. Whether they're steel braided or not, that doesn't really affect it because the braiding is just around the outside. But you do get this level of seepage with the rubber line. it's not enough to drip or anything like that. When I say seepage is possibly the wrong word to be using, but the PTFE line is completely impervious to gas, gasoline, petrol, and yeah, you will pay some more for the fittings on the end, but if you park it in a garage under your house, under your bedroom, in a 2-story place or whatever, and the wife's complaining that it smells like gasoline in the garage, that 12-foot of rubber hose is probably adding to your issue. So yeah, that is my thoughts. If I can talk a customer up into PTFE lines, I do. And the other thing is, which is ultimately better than a full-length rubber line, is a hard line, like a 3/8 steel line, with just a little bit of rubber at each end. Fuel does not seep through a steel line unless it's got rusted through. But yeah, full running rubber front to back is it can smell a little, honestly, with the modern gas. James Martin, I had a Volkswagen thing once, great in the snow, fume-fired heater, brilliant. Yeah, we certainly got plenty of weight over the drive wheels with a Volkswagen. You got all that motor hanging out behind the rear axle. Thunderbird 68 kerosene is an excellent parts cleaner. Yep, it is. Yep. J. Russell Finch, yeah, Caro is great. I used it with hot water in an old dishwasher. Huh, like as a parts washer? Huh. That's a cool idea. Barracuda, the smelt are unscathed. What you talking about there, bud? Old car Discover, chuck it all. By the way, I got a couple of wagons, 62 Impala loaded, nice. I think they are beautiful cars. I prefer my 63 though. There you go. Is the 63 a wagon as well? Oh, you say you got a couple of wagons. Yep. Yeah, both pretty wagons. Very pretty wagons. Smurfenstein, have to head out, everyone. Awesome chat. Well, thanks for joining us, buddy. You off back to work, I'm guessing, are you? End of time. With the fires here in Canada, I had a friend that packed everything in his motorhome. It died and he had to run from the fire on his Harley. His home was one of the only left in town. He got lucky. Yeah, he did. He did. Thunderbird 68, I'm planning on running mostly hardline with just minimal rubber to make the connections. That's the way to go, really. It's going to be definitely cheaper than the PTFE stuff. And nothing wrong with it, really. Nothing wrong with it at all. It does just as good a job. Arguably better. It doesn't sag. You don't have to put as many clips holding it up. And then just use a good quality. My suggestion would be to use a fuel injection fuel hose for those connections at each end. The fuel injection hose is a little bit better because it has to put up with up to 60 psi or 80 psi fuel pressure, whereas your cheap fuel line is only made for about 15. I would step up and get a bit of fuel injection fuel hose from your parts store, O'Reilly's or whatever, and do that with the hard line there. Old Discover. I don't do that anymore. How do houses in old cars NBC was my short. NBC NCOIC was my short title. Glad I could stop. Oh, I'm glad you dropped in, mate. That was all interesting stuff. Thanks for stopping in. Craig Nearing, Croyle is the good stuff, but rather spendy, powerful. It is. That Croyle is good stuff. It is a bit expensive, but it gets into stuff quickly. So I usually have a can of that kicking around because don't always have time to let stuff soak for 48 hours. Christopher C, have you ever tried to rebuild an AC compressor? No, that is something I have not done. Not rebuild an AC compressor. I know the old ones, though. The old kind of 60s stuff was built to be rebuilt, but the modern AC compressors, yeah, I'm not sure that how rebuildable they are. Even if there's parts available for them. Well, look at that. I've caught up with the questions. So we need some more. Yeah, J. Russell Finch, tell me what you're talking about with your dishwasher. Do you actually use a mixture of hot water and Caro in an old dishwasher to clean parts with? Yeah, it's a fabulous idea. The Caro didn't, I guess, it wasn't flammable enough to have an issue with exploding dishwashers. And I'm guessing, as you say, it's an old disher. It wasn't the wife's dishwasher in the kitchen. Not that it really belongs to the wife and the women that are getting upset at me already. But yeah, the household dishwasher. I know my wife would. Yeah, that wouldn't end well at all if I put car parts in our dishwasher. No, that wouldn't end well at all. Christopher C, I have an A6 compressor from my 80 Chevy C30. Yeah. Mate, honestly, search it on YouTube. If anyone's ever done it, there will be a video of it on YouTube. Just put in, rebuilding an A6 compressor, or even rebuilding an 80s A6 compressor, and I bet you a T-shirt that someone has got a video. And actually, there's a very good chance there's 10 people got videos about rebuilding them. Beagle Bob, does anyone know of any good resources for rewinding an electric motor? I've got a 50s model fan that started smoking last I used it. Ooh, no, I don't. There was a place just near me, actually, like 5 minutes away from the shop, that used to do that exact stuff, and I'd had get a bit, back's hurting. They rebuilt a couple of starter motors for me on some of the old Model A's and stuff like that, that you can't buy, reman starters for. But they got offered good money for the building, so they retired. It was two brothers had it, and they just retired, gone. That's it. It's a shame. Those people with those skills and the shops that could do it just disappear. Christopher C. learned that by swapping the condenser to a modern flat tube versus the round tube one, it came with just about double the AC efficiency. Yeah, that sounds about right. The modern compressors are, a lot more efficient, and they don't drag anywhere near as much horsepower as the old stuff did. Like that Falcon I've got, that yellow Falcon's got AC on it, and but it's got the real old school compressor on it that looks like a little compressor unit for compressed air, that you might have in your workshop. But when you turn the AC on, that slows the motor down. Like when it's idling, it really makes the old engine struggle to keep running. That pulls a lot of, I mean, it seems like it takes several horsepower to run that compressor. chuck it all. Over 73 Le Mans that I have to remind myself how much clearance to make for a turn, but she rides like a couch. Rides like a couch on crack. There you go. What more could you ask for, really? El Moran, yeah, that would become your dishwasher in the divorce. Yeah, many a true word spoken in jest, buddy. Yeah, the trouble with me doing that is that the next purchase the next day would be a new dishwasher. So that would become if like if we could avoid the divorce, it would be a brand new dishwasher the next day. Mr. Misfits, bowling is one of my hobbies. Okay, bowlers will put a certain type of bowling balls in their dishwashers to extract the lane oil out of them. Oh, good grief, really? Things you never knew. Huh. I suppose if you get too much oil on the ball, they won't grip and swerve, right? Is that the right term? Swerve? Make it turn across the lane? Huh. There you go. A little useless piece of information to file away, but interesting nonetheless. Christopher C. I've already watched a couple of videos, just haven't talked to anyone who has done it. Yeah, fair enough, mate. No, I'm not one of them, honestly. It becomes, and this is what's happening more and more these days, it's a time and money exercise. And for me to sit there and figure out how to do it, even if I knew how to do it, if it takes an hour, you've got to balance that up against, the cost of a new one. And new parts are just so cheap these days. So it's making it just not viable to rebuild stuff anymore. You really, if you're doing it yourself, that's fine. But when you're doing it for a customer and you're charging them, your hourly rate, then pretty quickly it becomes an issue that it's more expensive to rebuild it than it is to put a new one on. And as the shop owner, if you rebuild it in house, then you've kind of got to warranty it. If you get a new one from O'Reilly's or your Chevrolet dealer or wherever you get it from, it comes with a warranty, and as the business owner doesn't have to carry that warranty, so that's kind of appealing too. So it's become a very different world between the home rebuilders and the shops. The difference in costing is quite dramatic. Thunderbird 68. I want to undercoat my bird with Cosmoline, but I can't afford it. Okay. Was thinking the second best option is Rust-Oleum. Thoughts? For undercoat. There's a company called I've used a lot of Keystone undercoat, and I found that very good. I haven't really tried the Rust-Oleum one. See if you can find someone who sells Keystone products in your area, and they do you can buy it in gallon cans or aerosol cans, and they make a very good, very black undercoat. Some of the undercoats I've seen around or tried have been quite brown, and if you don't care what it looks like, I guess it doesn't really matter. But under an old classic car, you really want it black, like properly black, and that's one of the things I liked about the Keystone one. It was jet black. But yeah, Keystone make a lot of paint products. And yeah, they're around in most cities that I'm aware of. So have a look for them. That would be my advice. J. Russell French. Yes, an old dishwasher directly hooked up to water. Add 2 cups of kerosene per wash. Wow. 2 cups. Awesome. That'd be one of those things I wouldn't mind trying. Yeah, if you had a little bit of space in the corner, you could just have the dishwasher parked there. And yes, and because the heat would help tremendously, wouldn't it? So does it run on a hot? You run it on a. It would have to heat up being a dishwasher, wouldn't it? So yeah, that would be pretty good, huh? Car old Discover and Explorer. Elements handles like my 63. It's great for the straight line, but I don't want to take it down a curvy road. Go back to all the Chevy Indy show. Go back to the all Chevy Indy show. My 63 will be there long before it was mine. Huh. Cool. Christopher C. Just swapping the condenser made all the difference. Yeah, that Falcon of mine let me down. Like a brand new condenser just died on it. Driving home, died. Like 3 minutes from the house. I hate having to ring up my wife and say, "Come and get me. I've broken down." And she's like, "You're supposed to be the car guy." But yeah, car guys break down too. J. Russell Finch. Friend used to have a VW reconditioned head shop and he used the kerosene water. Comes out beautiful. You can use more kerosene if you need it. Wow. Barracuda. Wow. Easy to talk tough on the internet, isn't it, buddy? Isn't your wife the dishwasher? Yeah. No, she might be watching. No, she's not. uh, yeah, yeah. That's funny. Okay. Chuck it all. RP342 heavy military grade rust preventative spray. Just looked it up. Just looked that up. Interesting. RP342 heavy military grade. So is that just as it says? It's actually made for the military, is it? Anything military grade is usually pretty darn good because they got big budgets. But yeah, it depends on the price a bit, I guess. Craig Nearing, what do you guys use to get the green stuff out of carburetors? Mate, I usually drop them in. I have like a 5 gallon bucket of that carb cleaner that you get, the parts houses. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a carburetor cleaner, and you just strip the carb, drop it in there, leave it overnight, come out, and they come out pretty nice. Chuck it all, Thunderbird 68. I feel your pain. I have $3 in my bank account between checks. Oh, that's running it tight, buddy. That's running it pretty tight. Cross Freemason. Thunderbird 68. You're not going to drive in the winter, are you? Yeah. I don't know. There's very much of any product that was going to stop salt on your car. That salt, yeah, if you drive a car on salt roads at any amount, other than anything more than once a year, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. I'm not aware of any rust preventative that will stop the march of salt. Salt just eats metal. Thunderbird 68. No, I won't be driving it in the winter. It's mostly for looks. Yeah, try that Keystone stuff, man. That's fairly cheap. I'm sure that other stuff, that military grade stuff, is great. But yeah, I've got to have I'm curious to know the price of it and whether it's any cheaper than what that Cosmoline stuff you were talking about. But I know the Keystone stuff was pretty cost effective. Old car discover. Car old discover. Why do I keep getting all dyslexic on your name, bro? Sorry, Kiwi. Chuck it all, and I've been going back and forth on the conversation. Typo. If I was talking about his Le Mans, yeah, it can be a little hard keeping up when you guys. I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong. When you guys start talking between yourselves, it's hard mentally for me to kind of keep up. And are they talking to me? Are they talking to the other guy? Or yeah, because you're trying to kind of stay up with all that. But that's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Chuck it all. Cosmoline Direct 45 for a few cans. 45 for a few cans. Okay. Beagle Bob, military grade is overpriced and over engineers. Your car will not need to work from -70 to 170 underwater and in the desert, etc. And from allied country and from allied countries, of course, no foreign bits in the supply. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was my question mark over the military stuff. Is would that be any cheaper? And I'm guessing it would probably be more expensive than the Cosmoline. It's usually good military stuff, but yeah, you got to pay. J. Russell French, YouTuber Musty One, lives in New Hampshire, and he uses bar and chain oil thin with terps as a rust preventative. Suggests driving on a dusty road to get a dust layer on the oil. Yeah. I completely believe that. One thing, you've worked under enough old leaky Fords, and where there's layers of caked on transmission oil, engine oil, whatever it is, that's built up with dirt. There's no rust there. Yeah, that does. It actually works. It's not terribly scientific, used oil and dirt, but it actually works. It actually works. Chuck it all. It's a wonder they discovered iron at all the way it wants to rush back into the environment. That's a good point, actually. Yeah. Craig Nearing, I found that the green growth in float bowls impervious to most cleaners. Yeah, it is a bit tough. But yeah, I'd leave it in that carb cleaner. I can't remember the brand name of it. But yeah, you can buy it in gallon cans and like 5-gallon drums. Most of the parts houses will have it and will know what you're talking about. And even in the gallon cans, they're a little small depending on your carburetor, but they even have a little basket in it that you put your parts in and you drop it down into the can and just leave it soaking. And that will, sometimes you got to scratch at the green shit a little bit to get it gone once it's soaked, but it comes off a lot easier once it's soaked 24 hours. Mr. Misfits, J. Russell Finch. Yeah, other Yankees will spray cars with used motor oil. Lots of similar products are available to undercoat cars before winter. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get anything much cheaper than used motor oil. And it's not going to hurt anything, is it? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, it'll drip off where you load it on a bit too much, and the greenies, I'm sure, wouldn't be thrilled about it. But just don't tell them. And if it's dripping, don't park it on your driveway. But yeah, that's a very old trick, isn't it? Use motor oil. And I know for a fact it works because I've just seen so many oily cars that wherever the oily shit is, that's not where it's rusting. Thunderbird 68. Cosmoline Direct isn't too expensive. My problem is the shipping. I can't find it in Canada. Plus, our Canada plus our dollar is crap. Yeah, if you're up in Canada, I don't know where the Keystone is up in Canada. Have a look on eBay for them with that Keystone undercoat. I don't know whether there may be somebody like on selling it on eBay. Might be worth a look. Craig Nearing, it's the lanolin that stops rust. Okay. End of time. I learned this from an old British motorcycle collector. The best carb cleaner is Ford engine clean in a can. You can get it at a dealership. Ford engine clean. Okay, haven't even heard of that. Didn't realise Ford branded a cleaner. Is that like an aerosol can or a or something? Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably an aerosol can. But if you can, let me know. Craig Nearing, driveway of misfits. I undercoat all my cars with fluid film. Fluid film smells like wet wool for a week afterwards, but it works great. Yeah, well, one of the things that I used to hear a lot of was fish oil, the old fish oil, and that made your car smell like old fish, for at least a couple of weeks. I wonder if there was any parallels there. Fish oil, I think they also called it fisholine, but that may have been a New Zealand thing. I'm not 100% sure on that one. I have to look up this musty one. You guys chatting about him there? Where's he based out of? Is he a Tennessee YouTuber? J. Russell Finch, bar and chain oil is thicker. Well, yeah, it would be. It's got to stick more. He used to add a melted wax toilet ring. Good grief. Huh. Thunderbird, I looked up Keystone and don't see anything online. Looks like there may be a place called Keystone that is a third party for different products. Keystone is a company and they do sell quite a few different products. It seems to be. They're also tied up with LKQ, which sell a lot of stuff. But yeah, it was a Keystone branded undercoat. Right. Tell you what, I may still have a can of it at work. And I'm going to just put my email here. That's my email, bud. Shoot me an email so I've got your email, and if I can find a can of it, I'll take a picture of it and send it to you, or find out a bit more about it if I get the chance tomorrow. But yeah, I can picture the label in my head, and it's branded Keystone. But that is it's its own company as well. They make a whole line of Keystone paints and various body products, Keystone seam sealer and lots of different stuff, which is branded Keystone. Which, look, if I'm honest, it could well be someone else's seam sealer or someone else's undercoat that they're buying and just putting their stickers on it. That may be a thing. But just having actually used it personally, I did find it to be really good. Driveway of Misfits. Musty is in New Hampshire. Okay. Hang on, let's go back up again. Barracuda. Years ago, I used oil on the bottom insides of my Valiant doors. It's kept them good. Yeah. I mean, it costs so little, and it makes a bit of a mess, but you can just wipe it off too. It's not going to hurt your paint. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, I'm always trying to get rid of my used engine oil. Find out you have to carry it off down to the recycling. Now what do we got here? Fish oil. I don't think that's what you meant when I don't think that's what you meant when they said body by Fisher. No. No. It might have been a Kiwi thing, a New Zealand thing, that fish oil. That was very popular for for slowing rust down. J. Russell Finch. People tend to think POR 15 is a great product, but it ain't. Spoke to a media blaster and he said so many nightmares. It's an encapsulator, so you need the rough rust metal for it to stick. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of POR 15 either, or POR 15. I'm not actually sure what the correct pronunciation is. But yeah, if you clean the rust off too much, then it doesn't stick. It actually wants to be painted onto rusty metal. And I don't know, that kind of just goes against the grain a little bit, which, goes to what your media blaster guy's saying. Chuck it all, ain't linseed oil a thing that rat rodders use? I'm building a rat rod MG, a rat rod MG EV. So yeah, how on earth can you have a rat rod MG EV? Surely you don't mean EV as an electric vehicle. Good grief. Barracuda, remember Tector rust proofing, mate? I do. I mean, I was a teenager when that shit was around. My old man worked at a car dealership, a Toyota dealership, and they used to do a lot of the new cars with that Tector. It was very, very popular. It was like an extra $300 or something, and you got a 6-year warranty and stuff with it. That was big for a while, and then it just kind of died away. I think the cars got better at the way they prepped the cars, the new cars, and they just didn't rust quite as fast. So it kind of faded away, that Tector, from memory. J. Russell Finch, rust bullet, I've heard of that too, is superior. Used by military, can go on a clean metal. Yeah, I'd rather put it on clean metal, I'll be honest. Carbide Jones, Musty One, does some pretty cool restorations. I'll have to look them up. Always keen to see a little bit of how the other guys are doing it. Chuck it all. Oh no, the wife wants to go to the store. Bye, gents. Well, you're not brave enough to let her go on her own. She might come home with all sorts of stuff. All right, chuck it all. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for your input, man. It's all appreciated and enjoyed. So yeah. Ooh, we're getting low on time. It's 8:49 already. Okay, we've got 10 minutes, guys. Mr. Midfits heard the same thing about Z-Bart undercoating. Can be a huge nightmare. Yeah, I've heard of Z-Bart. I've never used it. Yeah, no small number of mechanics up here bum used engine oil to heat their shops in winter. Yeah, there's a guy not far from me that does automatic transmissions. That's all he does is automatic transmissions, and he's got a big used engine oil heater in it. And yeah, that's where a lot of my oil goes. But he gets to a point because he's got quite a few shops around the place because it's a fairly industrial area, and he ends up with too much of it. He can't take it all. So yeah, then we have to take it down to the recycling, like the city dump, and they've got a huge tank there that they send away. You just pour it in there, and they send it away for recycling. I don't know how clean they are, those used engine oil heaters. I don't know how clean they burn. You'd have to think there was a little bit of an impact on the environment, but Yeah. Yeah, I don't imagine that in California you'd get away with those. Barracuda, I've seen POR 15 degrade when exposed to moisture. Okay, hadn't heard that one. I have heard it degrading in sunlight. It's not very stable. I know people have painted the outside panels, the exterior panels, as a base, to kill the surface rust on panels, and then left it over summer, and it's not UV stable. You get a nice hot summer here, and that will play hell with the POR 15. Now, tell me, guys, is it POR 15 or is it POR 15? I don't know. I don't know why, but I've always called it POR 15. So I don't know whether that's right or wrong. Robert Hirschfield, hey, Kiwi. Hey, Mr. Hirschfield, good to have you along. Josh Homan, no problem. It's all good. Cool. Beagle Bob, I was supposed to go to the store to buy oil and ADF, but then I sat down to watch the live, bought a drink, and decided I'm not going to get around to using it until Friday anyway. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's much more fun here than driving down the road. Robert Hirschfield, my father sprayed Z-Bar back in the 80s. Huh. J. Russell Finch, taking undercoat off can also be a nightmare. Best thing I've found is a needle scaler. What have you used? Needle scaler, mate. Yeah, same. I'm on the same page as you. Especially if it's a bit older and dried, that needle scaler rattles it off pretty quick. The latest trend is putting dry ice on it, but I mean, I've seen that done. That's probably actually, to be fair, more the sound deadening on the inside of cars, where you can pour it onto the floor, but you can't hold dry ice up underneath the floor. Mr. Mitfitz, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Yeah, okay. I'm just curious to know whether it was it doesn't really matter, does it? But yeah, I never quite know when I talk about it. I'm never quite sure which way to say it. That's it. We've run out of questions again. Yep. Robert Hirschfield, you back from down under? Yeah, mate. I've been back just a bit over a week and a half. Yeah. Back into the swing and back to the snowy conditions from lovely 85-degree days and clear blue skies. So that was a bit of a step backwards, but it's good to be back stateside and back to work and playing with my toys. But yeah, I did have a blast down there, and enjoyed doing the videos down there with a few of the guys and having a look at the car scene down there, which is doing really well. It was amazing the amount of cars, the quality of cars, and the passion for it down there. Given the costs, $12 a gallon is gets expensive to fill your big tank up. Barracuda, the degrading may have been because it wasn't sticking to clean, unrusty metal. Yeah, could have been. Could have been. J-Run, I'm going to have to move. My back's killing me. Yeah. Oh. Whew. All right. Now, where are we at here, guys? So what's on next week in your shop? Next week in my shop. Well, I've got one Mustang with a big block in it that's going out Thursday. And then I've got a red fastback, which I need to do a video on, which we've got the 427 stroker. That's a stroke DFE. So it's 480 something cubic inches now. That we put in a bright red 68 fastback. And that's getting closer and closer to being back on the road. Done a lot of mods to that, so we're going to do a video or two on that. That's probably top of the list because that's another one that's not far from going. like going home. And then it'll be back on Casper and Project Swiss Cheese with a vengeance, as well as a bit of time spent on Marge and the Sunbeam Alpine. I'm hoping to, that's going to be coming up, I mean, not in the next week, but coming up soon is we're going to get that out from the corner it's tucked in and, start actually cutting on it, doing a bit of work. And, and that's going to be a fun series of videos because we're going to do the body swap onto the Miata frame. And, so there's a bit going on. But, so that's what's happening in the next week. Beagle Bob, am I correct to remember that you don't like Scotch or smoky whiskey? I prefer bourbon. Is my drink of choice. Scotch or whiskey I'll drink. Good Scotch and good whiskey is good drinking. And I do like a smoky old fashioned. The smoky old fashioned is really good. Junkyard George. Junkyard George say hi. George says hi, Kiwi. Hey, Junkyard George. Thanks for joining us. Craig Nearing, $12 a gallon in, does that say? Okay. UK? Oh, Queensland. Sorry, QL, Queensland. Is it really that much in Aussie? Wow, I didn't think it was that expensive in Aussie. I didn't realise it was up that high. Wow. Because what is it? It's about $3, round figures, about $3 a litre. There's about 4 litres in a gallon. So, it's like $12 a gallon. Okay. But the Mustang, I was driving that quite a bit back in New Zealand, and I'd let it get down to about half a tank and fill it up. And this like it was at least $100 from half a tank. It's crazy. Jay Russell Finch, you really are getting a reputation for fixing all older Mustangs. That reputation is pretty solidified now. But so I'm kind of looking forward to getting into the Sunbeam in March. Just changes as good as the rest and all that. Beagle Bob, I was asking because there is a place here in Arizona that makes a mesquite smoked whiskey. That'd be nice. Thunderbird 68. Sorry if this is an annoying question, but what happened to you and Tony? Well, you left that late, bud. 8:59. I'd let him shoot a video in my shop. And we had an agreement that he wouldn't post the video until we got permission from the customer. And the customer asked the customer, he said, please hold off on the video until he'd spoken to the car dealer in question. And Tony agreed to that and promptly went back to his shop and posted the video. And it just was a problem for me because I'd given my word to my customer that I wouldn't put the video out until he'd given time for the dealership to redress the problem, or address the issue. And Tony just posted the video, basically threw me under the bus, threw my customer under the bus, and that's not cool, not in my book. So it got very tense, and just didn't end well. Tony is no shred of remorse. It's like, oh well, too bad. The story needed to be told, and there was an element of truth to that. The story needed to be told, but It was just timing, and the story would have been told. But if you give your word to someone that you won't do something, and then you go ahead and do it, well, you look bad, don't you? So, and that was done for me. So that's the abridged version of that. Craig Nearing, I was kidding. Was that Craig Nearing? I was kidding, LOL. Yeah, I didn't think it was that high in Queensland. Mr. Misfits, where do you store your dad's Mustang when you're not in New Zealand? With my in-laws. My in-laws have a space in their garage, and they kindly let me keep it there, and they take it for the odd drive, which is great. So that's it just sits. Yeah, it doesn't. You'd be probably lucky to do 500 miles a year, I would say, that car. I probably did 1,000 miles on it when I was back. But yeah, that's the most it's been driven in quite a long time. Craig Nearing, what was the price in Kiwiland? $12 a gallon. That's the New Zealand price for gas. Depending which grade it is you get. Driveway of Misfits. Yeah. So did I, mate. So did I. Barry Cooter, I've just learned that before the Hillman imp, there was a Sunbeam imp. Yes. Yeah, they did do a Sunbeam. The Sunbeam, because Sunbeam was hooked up with Roots Group, which is English Chrysler, which is Mopar. So yeah, the Hillman, there was a Sunbeam version, which was a more up-spec version of the Hillman imp. The Sunbeam imp. I'm not sure that it was before or at the same time. I had a feeling, and I could be wrong. I'm not a Hillman imp expert, but I owned a Hillman imp way back in the day for a little while, and I do remember that the Sunbeam. My recollection of it is that the Sunbeam was a higher spec, like a more deluxe, like a Mercury to a Ford type of thing. Yeah. End of time. Tony was 100% wrong on what he did. He acted like a boob. Yeah, it's yeah. I had a 4-letter word that I was thinking of, but it wasn't boo. But hey, yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're out of time. I need to get my beauty sleep. You know, I'm sure you can all empathise with that. Hang on, I just did something. I'm not sure what I did there. Done something. Screwed it up. There we go. I'm back. We're out of time. I probably needs to go. As I say, need some beauty sleep. And what have we got here? Thunderbird. That sucks. I recently did a video testing water supply line for fuel, and it shrunk, got so hard. So I told him. He had posted a video saying it was good to use a couple of years back. He told me off. Yeah. Tony, he's definitely posted a number of good cost-saving videos. Cheaper is not always better. It's not a guarantee. The fact that it's just less can mean you're getting less. J. Russell Finch, wondering if the customer would have got a refund without that video. It did reach a lot of people, and you know the power that it has. Oh, look, you're absolutely correct. It does have a lot of power. That thing when it reaches that many people, would they have given them a refund? The question is, we'll never know definitively one way or the other. Had we waited and given them the opportunity to say yes or no without the video going, then we would know definitively. And the thing was, and as Tony knew, and we discussed, that the customer told me if they wouldn't come to the party, then he was all for putting the video out. But just to be respectful of them and to give them a chance to respond, he wanted to go to them and say, hey, these are the problems with the car. What do you want to do about it? And I kind of feel like I want my money back. And so he wanted to give them the chance to do that. And I think that's fair. We can't say for sure they knew the extent of the issues with that car. Maybe they did. A lot of people saying they knew. There's no doubt they knew. But we're all throwing opinions out. We're not throwing facts around. We don't know. I mean, the guy who owns the place, yeah, he knew whether he knew it was true, whether he did know or he didn't. But the rest of us don't. So yeah, my customer just wanted to give them a chance to rectify the situation. But yeah, to me, it spoiled the whole thing because we had the green light to put the video out, but he just wanted to wait until they had the chance to say yes or no. And if they fix the problem, then, but we'll never know whether they would have or not, definitively. You just can't say. So, yeah, we will forever be wondering if the customer would have got a refund without that video. We will never know. John Ditch the Trolls channel. John Ditch the Trolls channel. I haven't heard that name before. I remember Sunbeams and the Sunbeam breed. Yeah, that was a thing. Like even the Hillman Super Minx, I think they made into a Sunbeam of some. I can't remember the name, but there was quite a few variants of the Sunbeam. All right, guys. Yeah, what's that? Junkyard George. Thanks, Kiwi. At least, pardon me, you're a class act. Well, I try to be, man. I try to be. We all have better days than others, All right, guys. Well, it's now we're 8 minutes over because I just keep yapping. So yeah, it's time to go. I got to get some sleep. And all right, well, you have it. Thanks for everyone for joining in. Thanks for hitting the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, it helps. And yeah, so look after yourselves. Go and play with your cars if you can. If it's not too cold, and if it is too cold, well, just sit there dreaming about what you're going to get done in spring. All right, guys. Well, take it easy, and I will see you same place, same time next week. Take it easy.